What happens when a former prince ruins his reputation in the worst way possible known to man? Lux is an idiot. Yes, he's a prince, but he's a glorified idiot, and everyone hates him. This catastrophe of an anime revolves around how he tries to restore his good image, and boy, oh boy, is this a wild ride or not? After a few hundred years of a tyranny reign over Acadia, a black knight emerged from the corner of the earth and used the faces of the tyrants to clean his shoes. Till date, the identity of the Black Knight with the shiniest shoes is yet to be known. A guy popped out of nowhere, and of all places to pop into, he popped into the girl's bath, right on top of a girl who was innocently sitting in the hot bath. She asked him to say his last words, but the moron picked up the advice an adventurer gave him and complimented her, and also told her she's got nice milk jugs. Faster than you can say milk jugs, they had him locked up. A few girls came in and dragged his peeping behind to the headmaster, who informed everyone that the monkey was actually summoned by her to this school to work for her. The headmaster, a woman smiling sheepishly, decided to ward off his punishment because she was the one that summoned him, and also because he was trying to get the purse of a girl from a stealing cat. The girls were not having this. The girl who he violated her privacy and a few others that were in the bath barged in. Apparently the girl's name is Lizshart Adismata, and she's the princess of the new empire, while the peeper by name Lux Acadia was the prince of the old empire that was destroyed at Asmata, Tisma for shorts, challenged him to a duel, saying that if he lost, then he'd be dragged back to jail, and if he wins, he'll get to enroll in the school. Lux had a meeting with Airy and Leaflet. Leaflet won't sit because she was told that if she got too close, he'd use his breath to lift up her skirt. Talk about being overly dramatic. Airy tells him not to get into trouble and also prepares to work twice as hard as he's ever done his entire life. That's if he wins Tisma in the duel. She's undefeated, and so is he. The day of the fight, and I finally understand why they are called Drag Knights. Their swords are like a Power Rangers morphing grid that puts a suit over them like a full Power Ranger suit, comes out of their glasses. Lux's drag suit is nothing compared to Tisma's suit. I initially thought he was going to decorate the arena with bits and pieces of Tiana's suit scattered everywhere, but she was overpowering him with her guns. He was basically dodging and asking that she call the duel a draw. She was not about to let that happen. She pulled out a big gun that looked like a modified machine gun. The spectators were thrilled, though they could get blasted away. She used her big gun, but the peeper managed to dodge it. This drained her of energy, and she almost lost control of her suit. Just when it looked like she was going to scream, Mata Mata, and charge at him again. A creature called Abyss showed up. It's feared, and before we can count 5, everyone had bolted from their seats to find cover. Lux, on the other hand, was taking on the Abyss. He told Tisma to prepare her gun for another fire. He used himself as bait, and when she saw the opportunity, she shot at him at full power, but it was not as strong as Space Runaway. Ideon. The Ideon gun can wipe out reality. With that, it came out as a draw. In the bath, Tisma recalled that she promised to tell him why she dueled him if he won. She went to check up on him later on. He had already woken up, and the moron still told her how amazing her milk jugs looked. She wasn't worried about the fact that he saw her without clothes from head to toe. She was worried that he saw a crest that was below her navel. Something I know that you and I didn't notice because we were busy ogling at her milk jugs. Apparently, the crest was of the old empire. She asked him to keep it a secret. He agreed, and just like that, they were on good terms. He was to enroll the next day. Someone was watching as she left the room. It looked like they just went to rounds of, you know what I mean? And she walked off into the sunset. The next day, Lux rolls into class as a fresh cadet. After he introduces himself to the teacher and his new classmates, he sits next to his childhood buddy, Philippi. But she's not the same girl he remembers. She's packed with way more fan service than before. Tisma, sitting nearby, gets jealous because she wanted all of Lux's attention, but now she's got competition. After class ends, word spreads like wildfire that Lux is offering to do odd jobs. A bunch of girls, eager to put his skills to the test, come with requests. Tisma jumps right in, asking him to be her exclusive assistant. As Lux gets overwhelmed by the female mob, Philu tries to step in and save him, but Tisma hands her a snack to shut her up. Just when things are about to go totally haywire, Krulsifer swoops in, reminding Lux of a job the headmistress assigned him. She whisks him away, offering him an escape from his rabid fan club. In return, she asks Lux to keep an eye out for the Black Drag Knight, a mysterious hero she needs to track down. Later that night, Lux has one of those anime backstory nightmares. Fugal, his evil brother, is in the dream, casually telling Lux that Philu will soon be part of a human experiment by the Arcadia Empire. Lux wakes up sweating, only to find himself right next to half-naked Philu, who he pressed on her milk jugs like he was squishing his pillow. Naturally, Talar happens to be passing by and spreads the gossip like wildfire, telling the whole school about how they don't know that it's getting hot in Lux's room, doing something unholy. At lunch, Eri corners Lux, scolding him for his fetishes, before storming off in disgust. Later in the day, Lux heads to Tisma's workshop, responding to a work request she sent him earlier. Tisma proudly shows off his repaired wyvern, bragging that she fixed it herself because, after all, Lux is part of the Chivalric Order, a special forces unit made up of the school's elite cadets. Lux promises to help Tisma build a better empire. That evening, Tisma takes Lux on a bonding stroll as fellow Chivalric members. They reach a fancy restaurant, but Lux realizes Tisma didn't bring her wallet. Instead of letting her play the innocent girl card, he buys her a pastry from a nearby bakery Tisma opens up and starts trauma dumping about how she was captured 5 years ago by the old empire, branded with a crest, and abandoned by her father Lux, listens and sympathizes because, well, his royal family wasn't exactly a fairy tale either. Lux drifts off to sleep and has another fun flashback of his brother Fugal slaughtering people left and right. Fugal's doing all of this without even using the horn whistle to summon the abyss. Lux wakes up to the sound of a bell ringing. It's chaos outside. The school's under attack by abyss creatures. Tisma, along with a few other cadets, rushes off to deal with the threat, while Krulsifer orders Lux to stay behind since he hasn't officially joined the Chivalric Order yet. Philu, back at the academy, informs Lux that someone blew the horn whistle, the same one that summons hordes of abyss. On the battlefield, Tisma and the team are getting overwhelmed by the abyss, and suddenly, a traitor emerges. It's Reged Forrest, a former captain from the Arcadia Empire. He's the one who blew the horn, and now the abyss are swarming. Tisma tries to fight him, but Reged smashes her to the ground, ripping her armor and revealing the crest on her stomach. Reged taunts her, claiming he was the one who branded her. Tisma, refusing to be victimized again, throws her sword, scraping his cheek. Reged loses it and moves in to finish her off, but Lux arrives just in time, pushing Reged away. Lux's wyvern is damaged, so he whips out his black sword, shocking everyone. He summons Bahamut, the black drag ride from 5 years ago. Krulsifer, watching from afar, finally realizes Lux is the black hero she's been searching for. With Bahamut, Lux wipes out the enemy forces like they're nothing but cooked shrimps on my plate. Reged demands to know why Lux betrayed the old empire, but Lux doesn't bother answering. He incinerates Reged's drag ride, winning the battle in style. The next day, the Academy throws a party to celebrate Lux's latest heroic feat. To spice things up, Headmistress Riri announces a competition. Any girl who can steal a special request form from Lux will get to keep him as their personal servant for a week. Lux is given an hour to hide and evade the girls, and he runs for his life as they hunt him down like he's the last piece of meat on the planet. Tisma offers him protection and drags him to her warehouse. But while Lux is distracted, Tisma swoops in with her drag ride, traps him, and gets, well, a little too handsy with her thoughts. Lux, being the smooth talker, agrees to be her slave if she frees him, and the moment she does, boom, Lux sprints away like a ninja on caffeine. Hiding near a bush, Lux is soon ambushed by Philu, who was bribed with cake by Leah to track him down. Before she can grab the form, Lux snatches it up and runs off again. With only 10 minutes left, Lux hides in the Academy's changing room, only for a squad of girls to barge in and change their clothes. Krulsifer, noticing Lux's suspicious presence, shoos the other girls away to protect Lux from complete humiliation. When the coast is clear, she calls him out, and Lux, thinking the competition is over, hands her the form. Plot twist. Krulsifer was 10 steps ahead of him. She tricked Lux into thinking the clock was faster than it actually was, so she snatched the form just before time ran out. In anguish, Lux watches as Kusifer breathlessly whispers about her new order, making him her boyfriend. Later that day, Headmistress Riri summons Eri and Lux. She reveals the whistle from the battle with Reged and speculates it came from some ancient ruins. Naturally, she plans to send the Chivalric Order to investigate. Afterward, Eri gives Lux a sarcastic good luck on his new boyfriend duties with Cypher, but she's suspicious of her. Cypher, as it turns out, is from a theocratic country called Year, where she's the daughter of a count. Her family sent her to scout for a high-ranking suitor, but she's not interested in marriage just yet. Instead, she forces Lux to play the role of her fake boyfriend. If he refuses, she'll spill the tea on his recent peeping Tom antics. Nearby, Tizma starts getting real salty seeing Lux as Kulsifer's obedient lapdog. That night, Kulsifer helps Lux with his homework, but soon Leah, Philu, and Tylar crash the party to make her jealous. Leah, clueless about how relationships work, proudly announces that she's already held hands with Lux. Tizma's innocent mind goes into overdrive, convinced that kissing is the next step to having babies. The group desperately tries to preserve her purity. The next day, Cypher drags Lux to a clothes shop to spoil him with custom outfits, which leaves Lux feeling grateful. Kulsifer actually spent money on him. On their way to a restaurant, they're ambushed by some random thugs. Lux distracts the attackers, while Kulsifer summons her divine drag ride, Fafnir, shielding them from gunfire and showing off her foresight ability to predict their moves. Tizma and Philippa show up to help, and Lux is shocked they've been tailing him. During the chit-chat, one of the enemies tries to escape, but is swiftly stopped by Cypher's butler, Alter Eyes. Once things settle down, the group heads to a nearby restaurant where Cypher introduces Lux to Alter Eyes. The butler, clearly unimpressed with Kulsifer's choice in a fake boyfriend, remains polite. Then, Lord Balid Kreider, Kulsifer's supposed future suitor, arrives at the table, all smug and full of himself. Balid's from a family that was tight with the old empire, so naturally he looks down on Lux as a fallen prince. He challenges Lux to a drag ride duel, with the stakes being Kulsifer's hand in marriage. If Balid wins, Cypher will have to marry him. If he loses, he'll leave them alone. Cypher, ever the strategist, agrees and pairs herself with Lux, while Alter Eyes pairs with Balid. The duel is set for 3 days later, and Balid leaves the table, already sure of his victory. The following night, Balid meets with Hayes the Sixth Acadia, who holds the horn whistle. Balid thinks it's the key to unlocking the ruins, but Hayes corrects him, explaining that Kulsifer herself is actually the key. Laughing maniacally, Balid vows to marry her to further his plans of becoming the next king of the Adisa Empire. The next day, Kulsifer thanks Lux for playing the part of her fake boyfriend so flawlessly. Leysa, overhearing this, is relieved to know it was all an act, meaning she still has a chance with Lux. Feeling opportunistic, Leysa even offers to upgrade Lux's wyvern for his upcoming duel with Balid tired and sleep-deprived. Lux tries to find a place to rest, but stumbles upon a surprise Tylar, along with Leysa and Philu, dressed as maids, await him in a room. With their outfits straining under the pressure, they serve him a full buffet, starting Lux's very unexpected Sin City experience. Meanwhile, the Queen and the 4 great nobles hold a meeting in the Adisa castle, discussing the impending resurrection of a powerful abyss known as Poseidon. This abyss threatens to awaken, and they strategize on how to prevent disaster. One of the nobles, Craer, assigns Balid to investigate the ruins, hoping to find ancient weapons capable of stopping Poseidon. Back at the academy, Headmistress Riri gathers the cadets to announce an expedition to the ruins, with Lux tasked to carry the horn whistle. During the meeting, Lux notices Kulsifer among the cadets and later meets with her. She reveals that she'll join the mission, as it's her chance to fulfill her goal, though she doesn't disclose what it is. Afterward, Lux heads to the bath, but as always, his relaxation is interrupted by finding Philu undressed nearby. Though embarrassed, Lux notices something strange. Her scar from childhood has vanished, leaving him puzzled. The next day, as the cadets prepare for the expedition, Balid unexpectedly joins as a special participant, much to the shock and anger of Lux and Leysa. As the team enters the ruins in their drag rides, they encounter an abyss named Diablo Lux, protects his teammate Nu from the creature's attack, while Balid manages to strike it with ease. Boasting about his skills, Balid challenges Lux to an abyss-killing competition, wagering that if Lux kills more abyss, the duel will be called off. As the battle rages, Kulsifer struggles with her drag ride's ability, Weiss Blood, which fails to predict Diablo's movements. Lux saves her just as the creature breathes fire, but Balid steps in again, striking a powerful blow and taunting Lux about his superiority. Suddenly, Diablo begins to explode, forcing everyone to take cover. Lux notices that Kulsifer is losing control, and in a desperate move, he shields her with his wyvern. They are both thrown into the ruins by the explosion's impact. Inside the ruins, Lux and Kulsifer find themselves alone. Exhausted, Kulsifer insists on continuing, determined to fulfill her mysterious goal. As they reach the altar, Lux tries to use the horn whistle, but realizes that Kulsifer's presence alone triggers the passage to open, revealing her as the true key to the ruins. Kulsifer reveals to Lux that she wasn't from the Einfolk family, nor even from the human world. She confesses that she is actually the last survivor of the ruins, which makes her the key to unlocking them. After accessing the passageway, the walls begin to collapse. Lux quickly takes Kulsifer through the now open passage, but the rubble blocks their way out, trapping them inside. As they move forward, Kulsifer explains to Lux that she was just a child when she was found inside a capsule like the one they just discovered. She reveals that she was adopted by the Einfolk family, but because she was a survivor of the ruins, everyone, including her adopted family, kept their distance from her. Desperate to earn love from her siblings, she worked hard to become a drag knight, but she was still shunned due to her connection to the ruins. With no memory of her past, her goal became investigating the ruins, hoping to find others like her. Sadly, finding no survivors, Kulsifer feels useless. Sensing her sadness, Lux steps up like a hero and grabs her hands, telling her she's important to him and calling her his #1 wife. The awkwardness sets in as Kulsifer, trying to ease the tension, jokingly claims the whole story was a hoax, making Lux feel embarrassed. She's curious about why Lux is so kind, especially considering he's a prince from the infamous old empire. Lux opens up about his past, explaining how his mother and he were cast out by his father because of a political disagreement. They were left to fend for themselves, which eventually led to his mother's tragic death. Despite his pain, he found solace and kindness, thanks to Filu's support during his darkest moments. Moved by Lux's story, Kulsifer asks if he would help her if he ever became the prince of the new empire. Before he can answer, Leysa bursts in, interrupting with her upgraded drag ride, drill and all, and blushes as she accuses Lux of getting too cozy with Kulsifer. Lux, too innocent to understand Leysa's flirtations, leaves her flustered. The next day, Lux meets with his sister Aerie, who scolds him for being reckless and hands him a herbal tea to help him rest before his upcoming duel with Belid. However, the tea was drugged. Kulsifer, not wanting Lux to fight on her behalf again, convinced Aerie to knock him out so she could face Belid alone. She heads to the duel location, where Belid arrogantly questions Lux's absence. Kulsifer shuts him down and insists they fight without him. During the duel, Belid reveals his dirty tricks. He uses his powers to weaken Kulsifer, overpowering her and knocking her to the ground. He forces her out of her drag ride, Fafnir, and tells her she's nothing more than a tool to him. Just as things look bleak, Lux arrives in his black hero drag ride, revealing his true identity to protect Kulsifer. Lux engages in battle with Balid, quickly realizing that Balid's drag ride can steal other drag rides' powers. Using Kulsifer's abilities, Balid gains the upper hand, even overpowering Lux's black hero form. As Lux struggles to defend himself, Kulsifer starts to cry, overwhelmed by how much Lux has sacrificed for her. Her tears ignite a new strength in Lux. Fueled by his feelings for her, Lux lands a powerful blow that sends Balid flying, ending the duel. The next day, Lux meets up with Kulsifer and Alter Eyes at a cafe, only to be shocked when Alter Eyes declares him as Kulsifer's new fiancé, having defeated Belid, her former fiancé. Lux tries to clarify the misunderstanding, but Alter Eyes leaves before he can correct her. Kulsifer, amused by the situation, tells Lux to relax. She then rewards him for his bravery and coolness by kissing him. Completely flustered, Lux is sent into shock. Leysa, spying from a distance, can't handle seeing Kulsifer kiss Lux and storms in, demanding to know if Lux plans to marry Kulsifer for more kisses like that. A few days later, news spreads across the academy about a robed maniac, just as the return of the strong knight Relistia Ralgris is announced. Since Celis is notorious for being strict with men, Lux is forced to dress up in a girl's uniform and scout the area. No one recognizes him because of his disguise and girly voice. While resting on a bench, he hears a faint voice from the bushes. Investigating, Lux sees a blonde girl chatting with a cat. While eavesdropping, a shady man sneaks up behind Lux and tries to attack. His scream alerts the blonde girl, who jumps to his defense, scaring the man away. He throws a dagger before vanishing, but Lux blocks it, getting a minor wound. The blonde girl takes Lux to the medical room to bandage him. Afraid his cover will be blown, he insists she apply the bandage while his back is turned. She introduces herself as Celis Ralgris, the Academy's strongest knight. Lux, still pretending to be a girl, tells her his name is Luno. Celis suggests they meet more often. The next day, Kulsifer and Leysa both vie for Lux's attention, cornering him in a playful argument. That night, Hayes sneaks into Balid's jail cell. Balid, having survived Lux's attack, thinks he's being rescued. However, Hayes turns him into an abyss for failing to defeat Lux nearby. Rigid watches in terror as Balid transforms. Back at the academy, Lux prepares to face Silas without a disguise. Before he can, Talar informs him that Silas is meeting the headmistress. The two rush to the meeting, where Silas demands Lux's expulsion, arguing that it's against policy to have a male enrolled at an all-girls academy. Lisa defends Lux, but Silas refuses to back down. To settle it, the headmistress suggests a duel. Silas agrees, certain she can win. At Ray's Island, Silas leads the training with her usual strictness. Afterward, Lux tries to sneak into his Luno disguise, but is interrupted by Shus, who tells him Silas is calling for him. Lux heads to her room and finds Silas waiting for a massage. Awkwardly, Lux gets on the bed and massages her. When Silas asks him to light a lamp, he panics and quickly changes into his Luno disguise. Silas is thrilled, thinking Luno was the one massaging her all along, and invites Luno to meet again. Lux enjoys the sight of his friends in swimwear, but is distracted by Filu's teasing. He tries to comfort Tisma, who mistakes his actions for harassment. Celis and Sia join the cadets, but complain about the lack of training. Headmistress Riri points out that Celis is not in training gear. Celis, remembering Lux's advice about bikinis, tries to find him, but Riri does not know a Luno. Lux's cover is blown when he is dragged into the forest by Tilar, Nu, and Sheris, who force him to wear female undergarments. Lux refuses and escapes, only to bump into a frustrated Salis. After reflecting on their previous conversation, Lux decides to give his best in the duel to stay at the academy. The next day, Lux and Salis head to the dueling grounds. Silas, in her divine drag ride, Lindworm, faces Lux. Airy tells Nu that Lux is keeping Bahamut a secret from some chivalric order members. Meanwhile, the cloaked maniac Sia is identified by Tilar and Sheris as being from the Heiberg Republic. Sia's chaos is revealed to be a ploy to deceive Lux. She reveals her intent to destroy the empire of Adisa and summons her drag ride, enhanced by a mysterious horn whistle. The Ragnarok Poseidon emerges, interrupting the duel. Lux notices Filu missing and is relieved when Headmistress Riri protects her. At the beach, Silas uses her divine gate ability to teleport near Poseidon and lands a successful blow. However, Hayes, Cloaked, and Sia appear. Lux mistakenly thinks Hayes is Fugal, but Hayes uses her horn whistle to enhance Poseidon's power. As Sia tries to strike Silas, Lux's drag ride, Bahamut, joins the fight. Lux reveals his true identity as Luno, deciding to accept any punishment later. He defeats Poseidon with his black sword, slicing through its tentacles. Sia takes a crystal released by Poseidon, and with Hayes departs, vowing to resurrect the nightmare from 5 years ago. Lux treats Silas back at camp, and they reconcile. Silas allows him to stay and join the chivalric order. That night, Lux reflects on Hayes' cryptic words about a past nightmare. As he contemplates, the ground shakes violently, and he sees something enormous rising from the water. Headmistress Riri announces that one of the ruins is emerging and reveals her plans. The day after the battle with Poseidon, preparations begin to enter the newly emerged ruin. Lux checks on Filu, who felt weak the previous day. This reminds him of a past incident where he took the blame for a statue's damage to protect Filu, solidifying their close friendship. Despite Lux's concerns about her health, Filu insists on joining the cadets heading into the ruin. Tisma takes Lux to her station and teaches him a new Bahamut ability called Over Limit. This technique removes the drag ride's normal limiter, but is risky, as it can be life-threatening if the release code is entered. The next day, the cadets gather at the ruin. With Poseidon defeated, the ancient script at the center may have opened the gate to the ruin's deepest layers. Ree explains that the script will draw them in after a certain time, and following her instructions, the cadets enter the ruin. Inside, the desolate landscape is vast. Nu searches for nearby abyss on the first underground floor, while Airy explains that the ruin extends for 11 floors. The group reaches a plant-filled area, which Culsifer suspects indicates something went wrong. They decide to split into teams. Culsifer, Lesa, and Sheris will explore the 4th floor. Tyler, Ree, and Filu will investigate the 5th. And Lux, Airy, and Nu will check the 6th Airy assigned Celis to the 3rd floor, but she is disappointed by being left alone. Lux suggests he and his team will meet her halfway, which she gladly accepts. While exploring the 6th floor, Nu detects a signal on her radar but rules out an abyss. They find a girl buried under rubble. The group is surprised and calls Kulsifer, who has a connection to the ruin. Kulsifer investigates and learns the girl, El Crush, is an automaton from the old era, known as the ruin's supervisor. El Crush's memory is lost due to prolonged sleep, and she needs to restore the ruin's functions by being identified as the administrator in the control area room. Lux and Kulsifer regroup with the other teams. Lux notices Philu's condition worsening, and Kulsifer shares her concerns about El Crush's reference to a higher authority above the administrator, suggesting there's an owner with even greater power. Aerie informs them that the 7th floor houses the production area, and all teams should start their survey there. At Adisa Castle, news of Red's prison escape reaches the 4 great nobles and the queen. Red is preparing a rebel army, and one noble suggests recruiting Lux for his strength as a drag knight. Back at the ruin, Lux joins Philu's team in the production area, which contains capsules with Abyss. Philu shrieks as an Abyss approaches. Hayes uses her horn whistle to summon a Diablo, which attacks Lux. Lux struggles but manages to defend himself. Crush explains that the ruin releases 3 Abyss when it enters alert mode, 2 outside and 1 inside to protect the island. Lux and Philu head outside, while Ree and Tilar remain inside. Philu's knowledge about the Abyss raises questions, but she does not answer Lux's queries. Outside, Lux starts recalling a nightmare from 5 years ago. Suddenly, a Diablo smashes Philu against a wall. Lux defeats the Diablo and rushes to Philu's aid. He discovers an underground area that is opened beneath the impact site. As Lux descends, he recalls the underground area being used for human experimentation in the old empire. He remembers visiting this place 5 years ago and recognizes that Philu was also here then, despite only recently meeting her again. Struggling to piece together his memories, Lux finds Philu, who has a fever. She reveals that an Abyss is in the room with them, and then shocks Lux by revealing that she is an Abyss herself. As Lux teeters on the edge of death, a flashback to his first kiss with Philu floods his mind. Desperate, he cries out her name, which helps Philu fight the Abyss's control over her. She lets go of Lux, struggling against the Abyss within her. Hayes makes a dramatic return to the ruin, where the cadets are working to defeat the remaining Abyss. Kulsifer and Tisma take on one of the Diablos, while the other cadets search for a way into the deepest part of the ruin. They discover a locked door, but lack the key. Unaware that Kulsifer herself is the key, Aerie and the others search for alternative ways to enter. In the human experimentation chambers, Lux confronts Hayes, who reveals that Philu will die if Lux acts recklessly. Hayes had warned Lux of her plan to bring the nightmare back to the island, and now reveals that she had implanted a Ragnarok seed inside Philu, causing her to deteriorate into an Abyss. Philu, fighting to maintain control, is weakening because she is trying to resist the Ragnarok's influence. Hayes reveals that she had commanded the Ragnarok to kill Lux, making Philu's situation even more dire. Hayes offers to save Philu in exchange for Lux, helping her by using Kulsifer to open the door to the deepest part of the ruin. Hayes hints at their shared resemblance, suggesting a connection between them before leaving. Lux returns to the camp with Philu, who cannot recall the recent events. Lux feeds her and is reminded of the Abyss within her when he notices one of her eyes turning Abyss-like. He finds Riri in the hallway and informs her about Philu's condition. Riri reveals that Philu is a resurrected hybrid Abyss, brought back from death after the experiments 5 years ago. Riri had brought everyone to the island to search for a solution to save Philu. Moved by Philu's past help during his own grief, Lux agrees to assist Riri in reaching the ruin's deepest part. Lux later meets with Tisma, who has repaired his Bahamut. Lux asks for permission to use Bahamut's overdrive and receives a call from Fugle, annoyed by Hayes' horn whistle, advises Lux to destroy it and defeat the Ragnarok controlling Philu. Before heading back to the ruin, Philu reveals she is aware of the Abyss within her. Lux reassures her of his determination to save her. At the ruin, Kulsifer agrees to open the door to the deepest level. Inside, the cadets notice something is off as the place appears empty. El Crush, now fully aware, declares the cadets enemies and sides with Hayes. Hayes reveals she had tricked the cadets into opening the door for her and brought Abyss Philu along, betraying her earlier deal with Lux. Hayes orders Abyss Philu to attack the cadets, who suit up in their drag rides to fight back. Lux discovers the autopilot drag rides are unusually fast, indicating they can use over limit. The cadets struggle against Abyss Philu, whose divine drag ride ability, Missing Fate, nullifies other divine drag ride abilities. Seeing her friends in trouble, Eri uses the horn whistle to counteract Philu's Abyss influence. Haze tries to use Poseidon's crystal on an altar, but is interrupted by Fugal. A whistle sound distracts Haze, allowing Philu to regain control and revert to her normal form. The cadets seize the opportunity and force Haze to surrender. Refusing to give up, Haze summons another Ragnarok, which captures the cadets with its branches. The Ragnarok regenerates quickly, making it a formidable opponent. Lux requests Tisma's permission to use Bahamut's overdrive. Despite initial hesitation due to the risk, Tisma allows it. Lux activates overdrive, slicing through the Ragnarok's branches and defeating it at an incredible speed, leaving Haze stunned. As the ruin collapses into the sea, the cadets evacuate. Back at the camp, Philu tends to Lux, who is exhausted from using overdrive. Philu reveals she has grown resistant to the horn whistle due to the battle. Lux is relieved to hear that her life is no longer in immediate danger. Philu thanks Lux for keeping his promise and saving her, despite the immense challenges. The next day, Lux arrives at the academy to find a surprise party in his honor. Celebrating the cadets' return from the island, Rui wants to mark the occasion, but she's scolded by higher-ups for surveying the ruin without permission. The academy is more focused on the upcoming National Foundation event in Odessa, celebrating 5 years since the formation of the Empire. As Tisma tries to make her move on Lux, Culcifer invites him on a date. Tisma is stunned by Culcifer's boldness, and the competition heats up when Celis and Philu also express their interest in dating Lux. To avoid World War III among the girls, Headmistress Rieri suggests Lux date them one by one. Lux agrees, unable to choose between them. The following day, Eri escorts Lux to his first date with Celis. Eri mentions an all-dragon battle segment at the Foundation Festival, where representatives from each country will compete for the right to survey the ruins. Lux and the Cheval Rick members will represent their country. Ari, concerned about Lux's recent recovery from the ruin battle, warns him about a notorious drag knight known as the Empire Assassin's Dagger, who has escaped and might be after Lux for defeating the Acadia Empire. Arai introduces Lux to Celis, who is dressed adorably for their date. Lux and Celis enjoy a stroll through festival stalls, and Celis accidentally drinks too much alcohol. Feeling dizzy, Lux catches her as she stumbles, and they both fall near a fountain, with Lux being cushioned by Celis's chest. Teeler jokes about Lux's misfortune as the date ends. Lux's next date is with Culcifer, who takes him to a ballroom full of nobles and drag knights. Culcifer invites Lux to dance, and despite his lack of skill, he follows her lead. At sunset, Culcifer leads Lux to the balcony and confesses that she set up the date because Alter Eyes, who was monitoring her, was trying to maintain appearances of their engagement. She asks for a pretend kiss, and Lux obliges. Tyler is impressed by Culcifer's smooth moves. As the date concludes, Lux's final date is with Philu, who wears clothes that might have shrunk over the years. They head to a local church where Philu lays Lux on her lap to help him relax and unwind. Lux, exhausted, falls asleep. After a restful hour, Lux meets with Tisma, who is upset that he didn't choose her. She understands his difficulty in making a choice, but asks Lux for a favor, to become her knight after her graduation, as she will need an attendant. Lux hesitates. Worried about complications due to his past connections with the old empire, Tisma wants to introduce him to the nation on the festival's last day and asks for his decision by then, before leaving bashfully. The next day, Lux informs Arai of his participation in the All-Dragon tournament. Arai criticizes Lux for being irresponsible and limits his participation to 12 minutes due to lingering threats, including Haze and Riged. As they talk, Yoruka suddenly appears, claiming to be a former drag knight from the old empire, and now ready to serve Lux as her master. Lux instructs her to wait for his orders. While Eri leaves, Lux finds Tisma practicing her festival speech. They discuss her earlier offer, and Lux heads to the ruins with Eri, where Haze, Sia, and Yoruka activate something ominous. The nobles summon Lux to discuss a plot to overthrow the new kingdom after the tournament. They order him to act as a decoy to lure over 100 Abyss from uninhabited villages with the promise of overlooking the Ray Island incident. Lux is also instructed to win the tournament, which he agrees to despite Arai's objections. Back at the academy, Lux asks Tisma to modify his Wyvern drag ride again. He encounters Yoruka, who reveals her intention to restore the old empire and destroy the new kingdom. As it was part of a promise made to her deceased brother, Lux refuses to destroy the kingdom, leading Yoruka to declare him her enemy and leave. The drag ride tournament kicked off, and Lux, with the determination of an anime protagonist who's just discovered their hidden power, won his match. However, Culcifer couldn't help but notice Lux was speeding through his victories, like he was on a tight deadline. It was like watching a tournament arc where the hero was suddenly on fast forward. After the match, Lux asked Eri to send a message to everyone, in case he didn't make it back for the group battle tournament. It was like preparing for a cliffhanger episode where you're not sure if the hero will return in time. Leisha's match started off smoothly, but then Yoruka decided to crash the party, manipulating Leisha's drag ride to attack the audience. It was like a villain suddenly taking control in the middle of a high-stakes competition. Leisha was thrown into prison, and her drag ride was confiscated, leaving her in a real pickle. Meanwhile, Lux was busy tracking down Sanya, who had unleashed the abyss creatures. Lux lured them to the kingdom's soldiers, who took care of them with all the efficiency of a well-coordinated anime team-up. Keeping her promise, Ayuri spilled the beans about the operation to the girls. They decided to find Yoruka and rescue Leisha, like a team of anime heroines setting off on a rescue mission. While Lux was catching some much-needed rest, the insurgents, led by Rag Reed, launched a surprise attack, wiping out the remaining soldiers and forcing the main force to retreat. Back at the academy, the girls learned of the insurgents' advance toward the capital, setting the stage for an epic showdown. Lux, realizing the gravity of the situation, faced off against Ragreed. Ragreed revealed that Hayes was piloting a massive stone golem heading straight for the capital. It was a giant, rock-solid mecha battle waiting to happen. Lux, knowing he had only 12 minutes to use Bahamut, prepared for a fight that felt like the climax of a shonen anime series. With time ticking away, Lux braced himself for what was sure to be a dramatic and action-packed battle. Meanwhile, Lux discovered Sia unleashing abyss creatures, which he quickly directed to the kingdom's soldiers who took care of them. Sia's betrayal was a classic Naruto move, turning on allies when you least expect it. Eri and the girls, determined to rescue Tizma and stop the insurgents, planned their next move. Back at the academy, Tizma was visited by S, who had her stripped down to reveal the Empire's brand. Talk about a dramatic wardrobe malfunction. Lux arrived just in time to stop them, rallying a depressed and guilty Tizma to fight alongside him. Hayes demanded the new kingdom surrender or face destruction, but was soon attacked and temporarily subdued by Lux, Culcifer, and Philu. Lux, now fighting Hayes and her giant divine drag ride, found himself in a tough spot. The giant was splitting the city in two, like something out of Attack on Titan. As Lux looked for a way inside the giant, he was confronted by Yoruka, who was determined to revive the Empire under Ari's rule. Yoruka revealed her tragic backstory, comparing it to One Piece levels of drama. She was a princess whose brother was killed by nobles, and she'd taken revenge, but remained bound to the Empire. Lux, while battling Yoruka, explained his desire to change the country for the better, making her realize that everything he had done was aimed at rebuilding from the ground up. After a fierce battle, Lux managed to defeat Yoruka, who then chose to betray Hayes and destroy the giant's controls at the last second. As Hayes attempted a final assault on the capital, Lux and his allies fought fiercely. Tizma, despite being outmatched, managed to hold her ground until Lux arrived to confront Hayes directly. With the giant destroyed and the city saved, the festival's final day arrived. Tizma made her speech, announcing Lux as her knight to the public, who greeted the news with approval. During the party, Lux noticed Fugal holding what appeared to be Bahamut's sword device, adding an air of mystery to the celebration. As the night went on, Lux was surrounded by the girls, including Yoruka, who openly flirted with him. An angry Tizma demanded that Lux declare which girl he truly loved, and the girls all beaker until he screams for them to let him be. I'm wondering what threat could arise, and just who will marry Lux? Or will he get a harem? Who knows? Maybe if you like and subscribe to the channel, the idiot may finally get his harem. Until then, please take a look at our other videos.